What's up, my fellow trashers? Welcome back to another episode of Good Content. And on today's this month's second special Halloween episode, we're going to be covering a movie that most of us know of and probably haven't seen, Misery. And as a young boy who's into pop culture, I was spoiled about Misery. I can't even lie about it. I'm pretty sure most of you have, but if you haven't, if you're lucky enough to not have been spoiled about Misery, the movie, go watch it. It's good. That's why it's on this video. Again, I'm not doing a bad content series, unless you want. Maybe I'll make it like a Patreon tier, which you should check out. But besides that, let's get to it. So, okay. There's not much I can talk about. It's very straightforward. It's a really good suspense movie. Like, in the first half, it's not really suspenseful. It was kind of like a little spooky, but it's more like, oh, the main character's injured, and there's this lady who seems kind of nice, but you're kind of unnerved. There's something about her you don't trust. But whatever. Let's actually get into the story. So the story is basically just like, we have a main character. He writes books that people like. They're horror, or what are they like? I don't know. They're like adventure books about this one chick. Misery is her name. And playing's her game. Ho ho ho. Has anyone tried that before? I don't know. I'm creative. I'll tell you that. The music seems a bit loud to me. But whatever. So he writes books, and he sort of feels like he's in a rut. Like he still writes books regularly. He feels like he's peaked. And we pick up on him, and he's finally finished another book. And it seems like he's pretty happy about this one. So he does what he normally does when he finishes a book. He has a cigarette. He has some really expensive champagne to celebrate. And he goes. He goes to give it to, his publisher. But on the way there, the snow starts to fall, and it becomes too heavy, and he crashes. Luckily, he has a stalker. It's not like outright stalking. It's more of, no, it's definitely stalking, because she literally buys a house next to the cabin he writes in just to look at the cabin. And okay, so while I was watching this movie, I realized a few things. A lot of people on the internet should watch this movie. There's some serious, obsessions going on in the internet that people should realize they are doing and stop it. It's really unhealthy. And I feel like watching Misery could help them understand that. Because, again, this lady is really obsessive and really, really, really creepy. And that's underselling it. If you watch the entire movie, you'll see how bad she is. And I feel like more people should have watched this. Or at least younger people. People closer to my age. Because people my age are they're still learning. And they're starting to become obsessive over people they don't know. And I feel like this story is a sort of cautionary tale to stop them from becoming, what's her name? I forgot her name. It's probably a good thing because I hate her. But the main antagonist. So that's a little side bit for me. If you can recognize you're obsessive over a real person that you do not know and you possibly will never meet, watch this movie, please. This will show you everything not to do. And hopefully you can help yourself become better. Because if you really are obsessive over one or multiple real people, you need help. And hopefully I can get through to someone. because this behavior is not okay. Okay? I really hope I really did hope I can help someone with this, but you're not here for that. You're here for funny ha-has, or at least I hope so. So yeah, since he's got in a car crash, he can't move. He broke his legs almost entirely. He broke his right arm. He was barely alive when she found him, which is like the only good thing she does, because she's a nurse. So she's able to help him while it's still snowing. So that's like the one good thing she does. She tries to help him for the most part, and I can like appreciate that. But then her obsession comes in and it goes all awry. So after a few weeks, maybe even a few months, he's starting to feel better, and a few mishaps where he finds out that she really is crazy. He really wants to go. He doesn't want to be around her anymore because she's unstable. So he's trying to find a way out, but he's starting to get better, and she's realizing that. So she's starting to take drastic measures. She's starting to threaten him, be like, if I kill myself, you'll die too, because you need me to survive. And all of this stuff. She has guns and stuff. She's like, if you leave, I will kill us both. Or at least if you try to leave, I'll kill us both, Or it's like this. Because you can't do that. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, he really understands that he is not in a safe situation, so he's trying his hardest to leave. Now we're gonna get into the hard parts, because this is like where it gets off the rails. I mean, it's not really truly crazy, but it is definitely like, this is it. This is where the movie goes all out, and it really does go full like horror, because this is like the end of the movie is where it gets full horror. But before that, let's actually talk about a side plot with the sheriff, because when a famous writer goes missing, they're not gonna let it slide. But luckily, we have a good old man sheriff. Yeah, of course, he's the only one who does the right thing, because it's always the independent cop who can help the day. Whatever. At least the actual cops are like incompetently portrayed. So at least it's kind of ACAB, so I can appreciate that. So since he's the only one to be like, I know he's out there, I can I can sense it. So he tries to find out what's going on. Of course, he finds the crashed car months after he goes missing, and so the police are like, oh, he's probably dead. He definitely got out of the car, but he's probably buried in snow. But the guy's like, I know he's not dead. There's clearly crowbar marks on the door. We'll find a way. We'll find him and we'll save him. Yeah, that's kind of stupid. Like, those are very clearly crowbar marks. I don't think a crashed car or a car being crashed could make that sort of damage. So yeah. So basically, after a while of wondering, we know he's maybe alive. What else can we do? Because it's basically a dead end at this point. So let's move back to the main story, because now she's had enough, and so she's like, you're almost ready to leave. The book. Oh, by the way, did I mention the fact that the guy, he had his book finished and he was ready to give it to his publisher? She reads it, And he's like, because she's obsessed. She's like, I hate it. I'm gonna make you burn it in a grill, and you're gonna start over. And he's almost done with it, along with his healing. And she's like, you're almost done healing and writing the book. I can't have you leave me. So she breaks his legs, and now he's forced to finish the book. So he's trying to outwit her now, because that's the only option he has. So he's trying to figure out what to do. But luckily, the sheriff comes in to save the day. I don't remember exactly what happened, because I was focusing on something else during this part. But the sheriff figures out the only person who could have possibly interacted with the writer what is the lady, the nurse. So let's see. He goes to the nurse's house and he's like, howdy ma'am, mind if I check your humble abode? And she's like, oh yes, of course. Why? Do you know about the author? And she's like, yes, he was born on this day, this place, to these parents. He's lived this long, has these many kids, has had these many wives. And he's like, nope, that's suspicious, but I was wondering if you knew anything about what happened. And she was like, yes, it was horrible. I almost died that day. When I heard it, that happened, I was like, oh, that sucks. But for these past couple of months, I've been trying to write like him to keep his legacy going, which is actually just him writing the book, but she's taking the credit just so she can cover her tracks. But she's like, here it is. If you want to read it, you can. But do you want some hot cocoa? And he's like, oh no. And she's like, no, sure. I've already made some. Let me go get it. And so he's like, all right. Let me just explore the place a bit. And she's like, sure, fine. He goes upstairs. He tries to figure out what's going on. He's already explored the first floor. But he's like, all right, I found basically nothing. And the nurse is like, oh, here's your cocoa. You should drink it. You should drink it. And so he's like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm going to go. It doesn't seem like anything's up. But I'm going to come back a little bit later and see if there's anything else you need. But whatever. So right as he's outside the house. Oh, I forgot to mention the fact that before this, she dumped the writer in the basement because he's trying to escape. So she was my hair he wants to escape and she doesn't like that, so to punish him she throws him down the stairs. And she also drugged him, so he's like really sedated right now. So let's see. Okay, so he's down there, he's trying to work it off, if you ever had sleep paralysis, it's basically what he's going through, except he doesn't see it like a demon or anything. He's just trying to move his body while it's super, he doesn't have any control of it. He's trying to move around, makes noises. But luckily, right as the sheriff is leaving, he's able to knock down a grill, and he's able to, work off the sedative and start screaming. The sheriff comes back in, goes to the basement door, which is also a hidden door, so you can push it and it looks like a wall, and you can push it and it opens. And right at the bottom of the steps, he looks and he sees the writer, and he's like, are you all right? Are you fine? But sadly, the nurse has a shotgun and shoots him in the back through his chest, and now he's dead. And now she realizes, uh-oh. Well, she knew what would have happened if she killed him. So she's like, oh, he's not going to appear for a while, so they're going to come look for him, and they're going to find us. So I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to kill myself. So I don't face jail time again. By the way, they showed earlier, because for some reason she has a scrapbook of her previous crimes. She's like a very notorious like nurse murderer or whatever. She's killed before, and if she lived, she would have done it again because she is awful. And the guy smartly is like, please, I love you, but the book is almost done. If you kill us, the story will not be complete, and the story you wanted will never be seen. And she's like, all right, because you're my little smoochy poo, I'm going to let you complete the book, but I'm going to kill you, then myself afterwards, so the story can live on, but not us. You got that? That's basically the whole movie, except for when she goes crazy. So yeah. Well, he finishes the book. He finishes the book. He does finish the book. But he's like, all right, I need you to get the 3 things I need to finish a book. A cigarette, a match, and some champagne. But here's the secret she doesn't know. He had some gasoline on him because he was in the basement. He snuck it in his pants. A bottle, not like he actually just drained some gasoline in his pants. That'd be uncomfortable, I bet. So while she's okay, so she already has a glass for him, but he's like, oh, but this is a moment for the both of us. Get yourself a glass. And she's like, oh, this is so great. I'm gonna go get it. And of course, while she's gone, he pulls out the gasoline from the back of his pants, grabs the pages for the book that has the book on them. He grabs all of them but one, places them on the floor, crumbles up the last page, lights it on. Well, no, he doesn't light it on fire. He's like, when she comes back, he's like, remember when you burned my first copy? Or the first version? Yeah, I'm gonna do to this. Because I hate you. Lights it on fire. And she's like, no! No, how could you? And he throws it on the others, and now it's all on fire. And she's like, no! Gets on the floor and starts patting it out. And he's getting ready because he grabbed the typewriter and smashes it over her head. Not really smashes, it's more like a bonk on her head, which is a disservice to him because he didn't hit her hard enough, so now she's still conscious. Uh-oh. And it's not like she could have been knocked out from the typewriter. Again, this guy was in a car crash and hasn't gotten like official medical help yet. So he's not the strongest at this point. Plus he's a writer. So yeah. He fails to knock her out or kill her. What happens next? I forgot. Because I didn't really care. I was just there cackling and like, that's what you get. That's what you get. Because she is so hateable and I love to hate her. Because as someone who's been on the internet for most of my life, or technically all, I've seen so many people like her that I have a sort of like a little pit at the side of my heart towards the back that's like, I hate everyone who's like this. Because they are seriously bad people, or at least most of them. And just watching her get her karma back to her is just so satisfying. Because this is like the moment you want to happen if you watch this movie. So yeah. But now they're both fighting. They're in a fight. It's a fight for the survival of either one of them. Or no. It's either they both die or he lives. So after a few scuffles, a few little painful things, some eye gouging, which doesn't really work, they get to the hallway and there's a pig statue. By the way, she owns a pig called Misery, which is the main character of the books the guy writes. So, of course, she has a pig statue. Also, pigs are like a symbol for gluttony. So her being obsessed with this guy and only like consuming his products is like sort of fitting that she dies because the guy, the writer, smashes the statue in her face and she finally dies. So her being killed by a pig statue is fitting. That's a nice little bit of symbolism there. I kind of wish I was that creative, but I don't make stuff like this. So, hopefully someday I do. Wink, 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 wink. I don't want to close my eye. So yeah, that's basically it. Or at least that's it. That's it. Stephen King. Whatever. That's it for her, and that's the end of the misery part of the story. We pick up 18 months later. He's fine. He's walking around. He's got a cane. He's still got some healing to do, or he just needs a cane now. So he goes to his publisher. He has a new book, or at least he has a third book that he wrote after. It's called like Enlightenment or something like Higher Knowledge, where he sort of like, I don't know, whatever. He made a new book, and this time it might actually like get some prizes or whatever. At least that's what the publisher says. And it basically just says, yeah, I don't want to write a book about what happened to me, because I live through that every day. Because we see him hallucinate one of the waiters bringing a cake as the nurse, but it's not her. Or at least it's not her body, because she's dead. Because she says the waiter says, "I'm your biggest fan," which she said a lot, the nurse. So she might have possessed the waiter. So whatever. That's actually it for the story. So Misery does deserve the pop culture rep it gets, because it really is a good story. And I didn't mention this before, but the music is really good. I did love the music a lot, because I'm a sucker for a horror movie that has good music. So Misery is one of my favorite horror movies. It's not really horror. It's more of like a suspense horror, where it sort of builds up to the big moments towards the end, and that's the big scary part. There's scary bits throughout, but it's not mainly scary. It's more of a suspenseful sort of film, where you have to sit for like a big quarter of the movie to be like, oh, he could die because this lady is crazy. So if you're not much for the waiting type, but this movie is really short. It is just shy of 2 hours. So yeah, I like it. I like Misery. I do think it's good. The acting's pretty good. The direction, I forgot, but something about, okay, that's what it is. The direction reminded me of the movie where the little girl is psychic. I know that doesn't narrow it down because there's a lot of those, but it's the one directed by Danny DeVito. Matilda, that's it. I should rewatch Matilda. I remember it being good. But yeah, that's what direction. If you watch Matilda and you haven't seen Misery, it should be a really good like jumping off point, because the direction's very similar. And like, so is the acting. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure Mrs. Turnbuckle, the principal, or the teacher in Matilda, is played by the same lady who played the nurse. But I can't remember correctly, so fact check me. But besides that, yeah, I like Misery a lot. It's pretty cool, and I do recommend it for like fans of classic horror. But then again, most people have already watched it already. So yeah. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what I should do next in November. Because no. tell me what I should do next. I haven't planned anything for next Friday. So if you have a good idea for a horror movie, tell me. I might have done it already, but check my videos before. And actually, I have a playlist of my movie and TV show reviews. So go through that. You don't have to watch all of them, which would be actually nice. But you can go through the thumbnails and titles. I don't do clickbait, or at least not anymore. Or at least not like I don't lie about what I've done. So you can just go through the titles and see. But yeah, if you want to recommend me a movie, I'll do it. I could use some new recommendations. I've been kind of going low on horror movies, but I might get Shudder soon. Non-sponsored, but... So yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys next Friday. Goodbye.